Welcome to the medical equipment world and healthcare Get the Scoop, the podcast where we break down durable medical equipment, patient care, and real-world solutions for caregivers, families, and healthcare professionals. I am your host, Tara, as your certified DME specialist, and we have Silas, the other co-host today, with CFS Medical Supplies and Equipment, CFS Solutions. And whether you're new to DME for a seasoned provider, this show is here to give you insight, tools, and stories that matter. So I'm going to read a quick disclaimer today. The disclaimer says the information shared in this podcast is for educational and professional purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional regarding any medical decisions or concerns. Neither the host nor guest assumes liability for actions taken based on content discussed in this episode. So with that said, we are so excited to have Dan Cohen here today. Oh my God, this is going to be awesome. He is the founder of Right to Music. And my God, I don't even know what to say. I can say this. I watched the documentary and it was unbelievable. It was very emotional. It brought back memories for me, for my grandmother who suffered from dementia. And I just need to know what we can do to try to put the word out about this music with dementia. So Dan, thank you so much. Oh my God, we're so excited to have you. So thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me here today. I'm really thrilled.
Yes. So, and I have your wonderful bio here. So I'm going to read this really quick, okay, if that's all right.
Sure.
So Dan Cohen, MSW, founder and CEO of Right to Music, is passionate advocate for integrating best practice music-based interventions into healthcare, especially long-term care and for all persons with dementia. He founded Music and Memory, a nonprofit organization that promotes the use of personalized music to enhance the well-being of elderly and infirm. The therapeutic and joyful outcomes of this work are portrayed in the Sundance Audience award-winning documentary, Alive Inside. It was amazing. He was presented at numerous healthcare and dementia caregiver conferences in the United States and internationally. Driven by his vision of widespread adoption of music-based interventions, he is focused on advocating for policy changes, raising public awareness, improving research, and modifying the curriculum for future healthcare professionals. Additionally, he co-founded the International Music and Curriculum for Future Healthcare Professionals. Additionally, oh my God, I just read that. International Music and Dementia Advocacy Coalition, which seeks to expand global access to music for people with dementia. Now, mind you, he's been doing this since 2006, you guys. So like he's been on this mission for a long time. And we're just happy to be to be in your presence to even have this discussion, Dan. Thank you.
Well, again, I'm delighted to be here, and we'll run through a bunch of stuff. Sometimes I like to talk a little fast, but I'll do my best.
No worries, Dan, because I'm a fast talker too. It's okay. And we have Silas. Silas, did you have something to say before we get started asking Dan these questions?
Yes, I just want to say, thank you once again for your time. And one thing I'm really interested in learning today, just kind of just diving into how you discovered everything with, how music can be used for dementia and also maybe some other conditions that's out there. But it's interesting because it's like, we know that music is something very powerful, just even in general, right? And so it's it's going to be very exciting just to find out how, just kind of going deeper into, how music can really help with dementia and those who are dealing with other types of conditions.
Great. Well, you want me to give it a shot?
All right. You know what? Okay. So go ahead and let me ask this question so that's kind of intertwined to what Silas just asked. Said, good. And then we can go ahead. It says, could you briefly share the story behind Right to Music, how and why you founded the organization in 2019?
Okay, so it starts really prior to Right to Music. when I founded Music and Memory in 2010, and I
Uh-huh.
trained some 5,000 nursing homes and assisted living and hospitals and hospices and home care organizations in
Mhm.
what's the best way to individualize music playlists for large numbers of people.
Mhm.
And so now 5,000 sounds like a lot, but in the US, there are about 40,000 long-term care residential facility nursing homes and assisted living. So that means that 35,000 out of the 40 said, no, thank you. You know, we have our music here. We have people come in, maybe do live music. We have karaoke. It all sounds good, except for the fact that that's very hit or miss. And if somebody says, yes, we have a musician coming in once a week, well, once a week on Thursday from, 2 to 3 in the afternoon, the week is long, the nights are long. The rest of us, when do we listen to music? We don't say, oh, good. Oh, let's say it's 1 o'clock on Saturday. I think I'm going to start listening now. No, we are listen when we want to listen for as long as we want to listen to whatever we want.
Exactly.
And so that model doesn't hold true in dementia care, in healthcare, and in home. What tends to happen, we've learned, is that even though someone may have had a very rich musical life,
Mhm.
um, when they get dementia, it gets like caregiving is so hard, and it's stressful. So people don't think about, oh, why don't I use music? That might help. It might help calm things down. It might help make life easier for the care partner by not having to worry so much that the person's going to get anxious or get verbal or even get physical because they'll be calmer because they got their music.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of benefits around that. So what I've sort of pivoted from music and memory, which was really hands-on training for lots of folks and supporting them, to really, okay, how do I get those other 35,000 nursing homes and assisted livings and others, and people at home in general to adopt this, to make this the norm. So when it comes around to Thanksgiving or Christmas time, when the family's around the table, somebody says, is somebody got any, is somebody taking care of music for grandma or grandpa?
Mhm.
Who's on this? Because we know she's got dementia. And grandkid says, oh, I could do that, or I'm doing it, or gee, I'll go over next week and I'll set her up with her music. I'll bring my phone. We'll play some music together. That'll be great. It's great, but it's great for the moment. Then the young person is off to college or back busy with, high school, whatever it is,
Mhm.
and then they don't get their music anymore. So it's not so easy because now we got a plan. We got
Mhm.
to figure out, how does the person get access every day? So I'm all about, how do we make this so that we not only know this is a good idea, but people know, what are my options here? How do I make this happen? What kind of music works? What do I do if I don't know what grandma loves? Because nobody's around that would know. How do I figure it out? Can we learn it? Can we extract it by sampling music? Can we do it by playing music from when they were 10 years old on Alexa or one of these smart speakers?
Wow.
So there are different things we can do. And so my process now is, and how can we change government, local government, regional government, national government? How can we change so they require more music? The way they require that people get 3 meals a day when they're in residential care. They get health care, they get their medicine.
Mhm.
But when it comes to the music, when the pandemic came along, the music ended, right? Because there was no more group singing or no more group entertainment, and they weren't equipped to do individual anything. So it all stopped, which caused a lot of faster decline, which we know happened during the pandemic. So um, except for those nursing homes that had get set up people in their rooms with their own music players, and they
Mhm.
told them, spend an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon, just listen to your music. It'll calm you. And they did better. They did not have this rapid decline during the pandemic. So all of that helps to inform what we can do now, and some of the benefits. And I'll let you ask more questions, but that's sort of answering your first question. Why am I doing this? I want to working with like AARP and
Mhm.
with researchers, and how do we know? We now know music has these many benefits. We need to talk more about that, but knowing it and making it happen are two different things.
Dan, I tell you that I had a client, he was a Parkinson's patient, because I've done caregiving too. And I started in skilled nursing unctions of years ago, Dan.
Function. I love that. Okay.
And I was an activities assistant.
Yes.
So of course, you were there, you're playing music, you're doing all these different things, but that's totally different, right, from what we're talking about now because like you said, you play it for a short period of time and then everyone is off to back to their rooms, right? And
Yes.
but I mean currently recently I had a client who was a Parkinson's patient and he was the whole thing the family just wanted him to have entertainment, like just be able to not needing really anything, but they didn't want him sleeping because he would fall asleep constantly. And so, of course, me and my little character self, I'm like talking to him, laughing, like, "What kind of music do you like?" Really. And he's
Yeah.
looking at me, and when he would see me, he would just smile because he knew that we were going to play some music. And I tell you, it was so awesome because he ended up patting his feet, moving his hands. I mean, hitting the desk. I mean, it was just so awesome. And this wasn't a dementia patient; he was Parkinson, so he was a very intelligent man and but he loved his music, and so I told his family like, hey, when I'm not here, you guys get him, like play him, play his music, put it on his phone, whatever, and stuff. And so his son ended up going and get him a CD of I think it was the oh my gosh, what was the one of the famous the Chicago, and he loved Chicago, and so end up getting him the CD with that. And so I'm like, "But you guys got to play it, like it's good." So when I go visit with him, even now, I'm not, I don't do that any longer. But when I go, I still come in contact with his wife and him, and I'll call and be like, "Hey, do you guys make sure he's listening to that music?" And stuff like that. It does matter, and it puts a smile on his face. He's moving around. He's not sleeping. And I said, well, whoever is coming to sit with him, make sure that they are doing that for him. It's
Well,
so
thank
important.
you for thank you for making that connection for him, because people with Parkinson's often get depressed and Parkinsonian dementia they kind of call it, and it is helpful most of
Yeah,
the time, and it's also helpful. So Parkinson's, as you know, is you lose your fluidity of movement, right?
yeah,
You can't just do the things you used to do. Your arms, your legs, you maybe shuffle really slow.
yeah,
Um, but you get music that's 90 beats per minute and you go walking along, no problem. Hey, or you start dancing, right?
yeah.
So these things are thoroughly documented. I mean, there's dancing for Parkinson's, a whole other
Yep,
topic,
yep.
around, right? And the the music can help with fluidity of movement as well as just one's mood, right? Oh, as people say, as you're indicating, yeah, people say, well, it made a huge difference, and so that's what we're looking for. That's exactly because too often people are really steeped in loneliness, depression, anxiety. Um, at home, in a care home, the numbers so interesting. Over 90%, well over 90% of someone's time in a nursing home is spent idle.
Yeah.
And another way, the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control,
Mhm.
did a study and they found that people in nursing homes get on average 11 minutes of meaningful engagement per day. And in assisted living, they get 20 minutes of meaningful engagement per day. That's the amount of time that they're truly interact. And that's the average. A lot of people might be in the pandemic, a lot of it went to zero. In great nursing homes, there's going to be a more focus around engagement and doing things that are really a reflection or extension of who they are.
Right.
But the average is kind of low. So music can help to raise that kind of
Yeah, music is amazing. I mean, even for myself, when I have days where I'm like, "Oh my God, what do I do?" I put on a little bit of, a little bit of jazz on, go walk on the ocean, or gospel or something. I mean, literally, but it puts you in a different mindset. Literally, like you can't put a price on it, and so that's why music is so powerful. I mean, like, there's no question about it. So I don't know why this is something like we all listen to music even in our whatever time, right? So I don't understand why this can't be something that is definitely um a go-to because it sets the tone.
So I
Yeah.
think when the Silas, were you going to say something?
No, I was saying that It's interesting because even with music, like there's times where people would just, when they learn in school, they use music to like. I remember, like, even when you got young kids when they're learning like the days of the week and everything is often done through music.
Yeah.
But interesting how we use it for children, right? But it's interesting why we don't use it for, adult care, which is interesting.
Well, it's very interesting, and I think it has to do with how we think about people with cognitive decline. So, you know, stigma, ageism, not being aware of music's sort of unique capability, not having the fine finger dexterity to operate what you have when you have the equipment around. Oh,
Yeah.
the CD player. Oh, I don't remember, or I can't do it anymore. I forget I even have a CD player. All of these things work against us. But mostly that people view people with dementia as not being home. There's no one there. Why bother? And it's unfortunate. So even when doctors or neurologists diagnose people with dementia, say, yes, you have it. Oh, so they say, yes, we're confirming you have whatever type of dementia. And well, get your affairs in order kind of thing, go home and not much else. Sometimes with something like cancer, yes, make the most of things. We have these support groups you can contact, with people that are going through what you're going through. You can maximize your quality of life by doing this, that, and the other thing. They give them like a binder of stuff, but if you have dementia, it's the way it's been reported so often from people who have the disease, that there's no real hope. So that's a big obstacle we have to get over. And that's really, and when I would describe to people, because when I started, I was volunteering, I was just going into a nursing home and come back every couple of weeks. And my family would say, oh, how nice, Dan, you bring in the old people music. And I go, no, you don't understand. I'm seeing something more significant here, that the problem is we're all our own expert on music, as you say, Silas. Well, yeah, back in school we were learning, using music, and we can't think of a time when we didn't use any music, right? So we're all our own experts on music, and when somebody says, "Oh, but it's also a medical kind of intervention, or you can use it for a disease," no, it's a block. What are you talking about? We use pills for diseases.
Mm.
With dementia, for 20 years, they've talked about a cure. There is no cure. There's no immediate or near sign of a cure. And so but we just interesting surveys show that in our lifetime, Americans average 2 hours a day, our whole life, of listening to our music. And that totals up to a lifetime total, they estimate, of 1.3 million songs we listen to.
Wow.
Which is wild. But the question that they ask in surveys is, how important is music to you, to your mental health and well-being?
Mm-hmm.
2 out of 3 people say, yeah, music is really important to me and for my state of mind and my well-being and my mental health. And that's a lot. So then to say, well, you have dementia and, oh, forget about music. Well, you're now in this facility. We have music for you. Because they'll all say, well, they have music, and they have music, but it doesn't mean the music speaks to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a difference there. So yes, it's entertaining. Yes, it might be better than total quiet. And yes, they might even say, oh, this was okay. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
But they may be getting that 10 or 20% bump. But they're not getting that 100% bump, because the more we give people the music they love, the more they're going to respond.
Yeah.
So I'll make the quick analogy of medications. When you get a medication for any physical condition, they say, here it is. This is the best we have. Take it every day, 3 times a day, for as long as it takes. We don't say, we have this great drug, but you know what? I'm going to give you one now, and I'll give you one in a few days, and I'll give you a pill next week. And maybe it'll work a little bit, but it's not going to be the prescription by the experts. It's not going to be the full dose. You're not going to get the full benefit. And that's what I'm afraid we do with music. We give them a little bit, but we don't really address, we don't say what's going to really be best for you and me. So we have to then know, not just for the people in our care, find out what music for us who maybe don't have dementia or are thinking about, oh, gee, I'm getting older. Maybe one day I'll have it, because, it's possible. So I'm going to get my playlist together now.
Mm-hmm.
So that my kids, my family, they know. When one day in North Carolina, there was a screening in a movie theater of Alive Inside. And the front two rows, they brought people from the local assisted living facility, came in their wheelchairs and everything, and they watched. And, that was all fine. A couple of weeks later, I spoke to the rec therapy director who brought them. She says, I want to tell you one thing. When they came back to the community assisted living, they said, I want to make up my playlist now because I don't want anybody making up any blanks playlist songs. I don't want to be listening. I don't want to be listening to junk.
Yeah, right.
And I can't tell you what I like. So I want to make up my playlist now.
Uh-huh.
And so there's really great wisdom to that.
Right.
Because actually, if I'm speaking to an audience of caregivers and such, and I'll say, okay, I want you to turn to the person next to you one-on-one, and I want you to think, and not say, but just think, pick a genre of music and identify, maybe write down to yourself, 5 top groups or musicians or composers, whatever. And then turn to the other person and tell them the genre you're thinking about and have them try to guess your top 5 favorite musicians. And nobody, whether they don't know the person or they're related to them, do they get 5 out of 5? No. Do they get 4 out of 5? No. Do they get 3 out of 5? Maybe a few. Do they get 2 out of 5 or 1? Well, people get 1. We don't really know beyond, they love Sam Cooke or they love Elvis or, whatever it is, they don't know beyond that, or if somebody says, I love Frank Sinatra, and Frank Sinatra maybe has 100 songs, that were top hit, but they're really only talking about New York, New York, or 5 songs that they heard that they love. So you don't give them 100 songs of everything Sinatra, right? Okay. So anyway, I'll stop there.
Like going back to what you were saying on why the tension is not, like, for example, use the pill example of, if you have something going on, they'll give you this pill and then they will say, take this every single day consistently, right? And then we don't say, try it today and then try it next week. Why is it that when it comes to music, why they don't have that? Why is it not valued by the experts, essentially?
So this is how it goes in long-term care globally, I think. We offer the best we maximize quality of life. We do everything for our folks, and maybe 5 or 10% of them in terms of music will really use that and make sure that happens and make it a music-rich environment. Mm-hmm. And the rest, we have music for the group. Right. So we really don't have the bandwidth or the staffing to do individual per person playlists, which does take time. It does. But there's a way around it. You could even just be going into someone's room and it says, they like Michael Jackson or they like Barbra Streisand. And then you can, pull out your phone, go, okay, Barbra Streisand and top hits. And then, I know this song and I'm going to just turn it on with them and we're going to hum together. Or if they know the words, sing it. And that's all it takes. No money needed, right? So there's a way to do this. And so there's resistance to change. And there's a perception that they have to spend a lot of money. So that's my issue. I'm trying to get past that. And I think it's public with, there's a woman in Toronto who had her mother home taking care of her mother, had dementia, and she took care of her and she knew about the music thing, right? So, and it worked really well for 5 years at home. Then she had to bring her mother to the local nursing home. She went to the local nursing home. She had a device. She said, here's mom's music. I got it all on here ready to go. Can you make sure she gets it, every day at least? And they said, I'm sorry, we can't really, we don't have staff time to really make sure this happens. And the daughter was really upset. Well, what do you mean? So it wasn't policy. It's not required by the government. So we need to advocate for our own loved ones. We need to speak with don't hesitate. When people go to nursing home, bring a relative, often it's the first time. It's intimidating. Yeah. You've got the director of nursing and nurses and administrators and all this and psychologists. It's like, hey, when it comes to music, we're all on the same plane here. We all know about music the same way. right?
Yeah.
And so you can talk about music to any professional, and you're going to know more than know more than them based on this conversation, perhaps, or you won't. Maybe they'll have seen Alive Inside, or they know about music on some level, but they don't know how to make it happen, or the administrator, it's just not happening. So we have to kind of advocate for our own a little bit and advocate for everybody else. Oh, well, some people would say, I'm setting my mother up, but her roommate is really nice. I'm going to set one up for her roommate too, so they both can have the music. I mean, it
Right.
happens in all different ways. So, or you talk to, I mean, the person in Toronto went to the Ministry of Health in Ontario and complained. It all depends. But bottom line is, make the case. You can. I mean, to me, I say all your listeners are now deputized as they learn about this to really state their case that this is going to help and ask. And this is why I'm grateful that you saw Alive Inside, because what's happened, Alive Inside turned out to have an impact I did not expect.
Mhm.
It does two things well. It really presents people with dementia realistically, and that there is hope there, and there's a path to a
Yes.
to an upbeat day,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Because people could have their music. In New York City, the city hospital system did their own research, and they took 100 people with advanced dementia.
Mm-hmm.
They learned their music.
Mm-hmm.
They trained their nurses in dementia care. Believe it or not, they don't automatically get that. And they gave them music in the morning for a half hour, 45 minutes, and again in the afternoon. And then, because it has a residual effect for most people, the music would put them in a better mood in the morning, put them in a better mood for the rest of the day.
Right.
It's sort of the equivalent, and you're going to know this, Tara, from your own experience, that even if somebody gets a visitor and they don't know who they are, but they feel the love,
Yes.
and then they're feeling good for
Yes.
hours afterwards, right? The afternoon is, boy, Mrs. Jones was really cooperative, and she's sitting there. She's been nice to people. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, well, she had a visitor. And in this case, the visitor can be the music, and it can help with the stigma. The stigma hurts. I was talking to a nurse, and she said she had seven brothers, and now their mother had advanced dementia. And because the mother did not know any of their names anymore, the seven brothers refused to visit.
Oh no, no, my
How
goodness.
painful. So she was not only working here, and she had so many people who could be helping her, but then none of them would. How Mom does not know my name. Why should I help her? Or she won't know the difference.
Wow.
And so, so this runs deep. Also, a misunderstanding, misconception of the disease, and how helpful it is just by showing up, right? And music can really help for, let's say, friends who want to come visit. Oh, I can't visit. I don't know what'll happen there. Well, put on that music that they love and that the people visiting is maybe same group. Put it on, see what, let it lighten up the room. And then the person with dementia they're more social, more ready to connect, more
Right.
ready to be engaged, might recognize people, might remember names. Stuff happens
Yes.
most of the time. The trick is having the right music. Right. It can't be
Exactly.
just, oh, they like classical, and you go play any, I'm very picky on class. It's not much classical I really like. So it's got to be really within that narrow world. I'd go, no,
Right.
no, 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 no. Oh, I like that one. And so you couldn't guess any, and the same goes for every genre. We just can't, we want to pick, and that's the goal. It's the hard work, but once you have that, the rest of someone's life is going to be smoother because you have the music and you update it. Like Yvonne with Henry in the movie, she
Mhm.
would. So he got his music, and
Mhm.
he lived for 4 years until he passed. And so I asked Yvonne one day when I saw her 4 years on, almost when he was still alive, how's it going with Henry? And Henry's a guy who was, mostly head down, had been in this
Yes.
good nursing home for
Mhm.
like 8 years, didn't say much at all. People thought, well, that's just the way he is.
Mhm.
And then when he heard his cab Calloway, like just lit up. And then when the music stopped, he just started talking a blue streak. My
Mhm.
father died when I was 10 years old. I had, 5, 6 siblings, whatever it was. I became the man of the household. And, all of this stuff just you learned, he shared, um, and he spoke very eloquently, and that became that little 6 minute clip also became the most viewed video on anything having to do with Alzheimer's or dementias globally, 50 million views. And why was it so, sort of, did it catch? Because it gave people hope past this image that we're talking about of like, well, I can't do much. No, let's have fun together.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That yeah, yeah, it is the stigma. That right there is just it's crazy. And I hope and pray that with us, with everybody can just get on board to talk about it and have conversations about it. And it's so sad that the lady's kids didn't want to see her. I didn't want to talk to her because they think that, she wouldn't remember them, but you have no clue with you just showing up. You don't even have to say anything. If she just see you, it can make a difference because you never know. You never know what it triggers, right? And then so, yeah, and my God, yeah. So hopefully we can just kind of keep talking about it. Everybody can just keep talking about it and remove those stereotypes and just know that people with dementia are still human. And the crazy part about this, Dan, is that none of us know. It could be any of us.
Look, it could
Anytime.
be, as Silas said in the beginning, dementia sort of plus other things. We could have a stroke.
That's right.
Music can be really helpful.
Yeah.
And just the way, Silas, you were also talking about the, way children learn stuff in school, tied to music, sort of built in. You're learning the alphabet or learning whatever.
Yep.
And that's how with stroke, interestingly enough, music is used. People cannot speak. But the Congresswoman Gifford,
Yes.
Gifford,
Yes.
right, who was shot in the head maybe, I don't know, 15 years ago, and it
Hmm.
went right through her speech portion of the brain. So
Hmm.
she lost her ability to speak. But with a neurologic music therapist working with her, they were able to redevelop her ability to speak in the other side of the brain by doing like, girls just want to have, and she'd say fun
Hmm.
because but she couldn't say it if she said girls just want to have what do you want to no, it wouldn't work, but only with the tune. So it's just these many aspects of music, because music lights up more parts of the brain than any other sense. So when we listen to music, yes, there's the harmony, but there's also the lyrics is another part, the beat is another part, meaning, maybe there's political meaning in a song, maybe it's romantic, you start thinking your memories, that's another part of the brain. So a
Yeah.
lot's going on, it's all working together as the music is going. So the music, and one of the beauties about music and dementia is it's doing an end run on the part of the brain that is no longer functional, or they're just declining significantly. And so it's those long, somebody can't remember what they just ate or said 5 minutes ago, but they can start singing a song from when they were, young.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's amazing because that goes back to like when you think about um when you think about music, what you just said about how like someone can remember something, like that reminds me of like my dad. He used to say like with his music, because like his music was always like back in the 70s, and he used to always say, "Oh, I remember when this like he used to tell me exactly what he was doing
Yeah.
first came out." He's like, "Oh, I was walking down the street, I was."
Yep.
And this, I remember this song first came out, and so that song, so like it goes back to you just said, like the music makes such an impact that people actually remember what they were doing, how old they were, what the day was when it came. Like it just, you have these memories, and it makes sense of why it works with dementia, because if because the music is so powerful, it starts bringing up those memories that are like in the subconscious pretty much. And since it's in the subconscious, now the brain's able to just bring it back out, and then people are able to remember everything. So that just goes to show you, like, yeah, that's very powerful, very interesting.
Very
So
powerful.
exactly, the memories are swept up with the music and connected. So we're adding a level of power to it, right? So
Yeah,
when you have the music and you remember a song and it sweeps up the memory, then you are, as some people say, I see my husband again or my wife, that they are themselves again because they're talking about things, remembering things. And that's really satisfying to the caregiver. and it may be temporary, right? It will be temporary. It's not gonna just last automatically, but you can keep recalling it. And as you learn, just as you did with your dad, as you learn things, as people decline to the point where they can't say, "Oh, I remember that," or they can't not speaking anymore, you can say, Mom, Dad, remember, this, you remember when, you had this, you were with your friends, or you were at the beach, or whatever it was, and you were singing this song, and, oh, yeah. Or you have pictures. It's great to start blending things, right? Looking at family photos while the music's going.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
music and movement are intertwined. So when you go for a walk, have the music playing. Exercise is good, even if you have dementia. The more you do it, just we know that exercise is a hugely powerful benefit for us no matter what, right? That is the exercise. If you can have one, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps keep things going in the brain. And even with dementia, it just so the more, get those headphones on, just like the Olympic, swimmers before they jump in, they pull
Yep.
out the music, the
True.
gun, the starting gun goes, and it helps them. So we want to leverage that. You can mix it with art. I mean, people, in nursing homes, they'll use watercolors
Mm-hmm.
and let people express themselves, painting. And as one art therapist once said, but she had a couple of people and they reached that point where they put down their brush. They just weren't able or willing to paint it anymore. Then
Right.
6 months after that, she said she learned their music. She put headphones on them. She put them in front of put brushes in the hand again. They picked it up and they kept playing when
Yeah.
the music was going. So it extended their functionality in that regard, which she was like blown away. This is wonderful. So, we can be creative here,
Yes.
whatever's best for the one you love. And we have to watch, we have to ask, we have to think, and it's an ongoing process. I call it being a music detective
Mm-hmm.
because all of us even have songs. I hear songs because what I like to use is I use my smart speaker, and I'll say, whatever, when I was 10 years old, okay, play the songs from 1961 when I was 10. And it'll play one, I'll know a lot of songs, but some songs I'll say, "Gee, I haven't heard that song in 50 years because it's a one-hit wonder and nobody else is playing it." And, it just was on the list of, 1961. So that's cool. And if you don't like a song, of course, as you probably know, you just say skip this song and you go to the next one. So the ease of use piece is good. Anyway, I'll stop there.
Well, you know what, Dan? So basically, so what about you know how you do what is it, Alexa?
Yes.
Like the little boxes. Do you think that would be something that they can have in their rooms to be okay and be acceptable, or you think it's better you reach more with the headphones?
So headphones are great, and the issue with headphones are perfect, right? If you can put their music on and put on like 100, to me, it's like 150 songs. If you're going to be using it every day, we don't want people to get bored if we had a shorter list, we're going to get tired of the shorter list right now. So if we had dementia, it's going to be the same thing later on. And so I love the infinity-ness of smart speaker,
Uh-huh.
and the ability to be very flexible. You could say, well, play, just pick whoever your favorite play. And there's a word essential. Sony Records, when they want to take an artist with a lot of songs, there was like an album that was or CD that was essentials. The Chicago Essentials, Dionne Warwick Essentials, Beethoven Essentials, sort of the top things. And that's also another little short. You can ask for it. You can ask for it by album. You can ask for it by artist. You can ask for it by year. You can say just, anything like that. And there's great and ease in asking it. So it
Right.
doesn't require the thing. So for people who are older, if somebody has dementia and their partner is both 85, and technologies, forget it. The grandkid can go in and say, "Oh my, hey, grandma, here's how you do it. You hit this, you hit that," and they nod, yes, 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 and they leave and they go, "What? How do I turn it on?" And so that's the challenge. And even with a smart speaker, of course, you have to have a subscription to
Yeah.
Spotify or whatever. But if somebody has a family plan,
Hmm.
and people don't often use all five of their slots, with
Right.
more. And hey, just donate a slot. And then you've got put it on you. I did that with my mother. She had a smart speaker in her assisted living, and I had you use the Apple HomePod Mini, I could just ask, play this, play that, and it would be just easy. And her aide knew how to use it, and so with my uncle, I did the same thing. Set him up, and he had an aide living at home. So yes, I like smart speakers just because they're easier.
Easy.
Whatever it takes to make it user friendly.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But somebody needs to own sustainability. Someone needs to understand or be in touch regularly to see if it's working, to figure out if they have somebody that comes in 4 hours a day, an aide or something, or family members coming in to check, that could be the time when the music's played. If somebody's coming in to do, bathing or getting them up in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
somebody else can operate it. It doesn't matter. They don't have to know how to be techie.
Right.
We want them to have their music and we'll take care of the rest. The technical,
Exactly.
somebody else has got it. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Wow.
the thing of it is too, if you think about it, when you play that music, even when I talk about the Parkinson's patient, it literally he would actually get up. If I asked him, "Did you want to get up? You want to take a walk?" No. But when I put that music on, I'm like, "Well, you know what? I'm gonna put this music on right now." And then I said, "Now you want to walk?" He would get up and walk. We can
Well,
walk.
that's
Let's take a walk now. Let's just, even if it's around the sofa, let's just take a walk now. And he would do that. The things that when I put the music on, he would it was things would shift.
I'm so glad you said that, because that was one of the things I learned from the very smart CNAs who figured this out.
Hmm.
And they found that when there was a group activity going on, no, leave me alone. Leave me alone. And then
Yeah.
they gave them their music 10, 15 minutes before. They
Mhm.
left them alone. They came back. You want to go now? Yeah, sure. I'm ready. Wonderful. And so that's exactly what you did, and that's exactly what works time and again.
It works.
Um,
It works. And I hope, and the thing of it is that it's so confusing. And if this go back just not to music, but in some of these facilities, that the vision and leadership do not see innovative technology. So it's like, okay, well, you see people as the residents, do you see them just as a number? Or do you want to really see them, whether it's an improvement or just be how could I say it, have some type of life. I'm just not a resident here in your place that's paying money, right, that you're making money off of, but I would hope that it would be more to, you would see me more than just that, if that makes sense, right? Because I even now for us in the products that we have, we do a lot of premium products and things of that nature, and we have some facilities that's really about innovation, and they'll call us and be like, "Hey, we need this particular product for our clientele." Or even though the facility is not paying for it, the family is. They will still make a recommendation to that family to say, "Hey, you know what? Call CFS. They got this particular product, and this is what's going to help your loved one." And they write on it, and then you have those facilities that they know, but they're not about it. And I tell families, because we get a lot of times when families will ask us, because I always say we're boots on the ground, and they'll ask us like, "What do you think about this particular facility? What do you think about?" They ask us like, "What do you know?" Because we hear things through the grapevine. Like we hear it all. We hear the good stories. We hear the hard stories from caretaking. If you're a bad agency, we hear that. If you're a bad assisted living or a nursing home, we hear that too. We hear it all, right? Not everything, but because people are coming to us after the fact, right? They've taken their loved one out of a facility or a place, or they've had a caregiver they don't want any agency they don't want to deal with any longer, and now they want this agent want their loved one at home, or they're moving them from one facility to another facility because that facility was more innovative and want to see the resident do better, right? Maybe not leave the facility, but have a better quality of life with comfort and dignity, right? And so all of those things play a part. And I tell families, like, if you go to a place and they're not innovative, or they're not trying to help you, decide on what to get that's going to help your loved one to make, put a smile on their face and things of that nature, then you might need to go look for another spot.
Right.
Keep looking.
And places that you're describing, the way you've, you know, broken it out is going to apply to the music also. Like
Yeah.
in both ways. If you're day one going in and the question you ask is, can they have their own music? Will you do that? Will you, make sure they have their own music every day, not just group music? And they go, oh no, well, that's a reflection of,
Yeah.
the group that's not making that extra effort for your loved one.
Exactly.
And it works the other way. If the ones from other sort of approaches to innovation and
Mhm.
being responsive to what's needed,
Yep.
to me there's low hope. You're gonna have to do it yourself. You bring it in, and the music and set it up and try and then try to get, staff. I mean, there's great heart in staff. That's where the heart is, the direct care folks. But
Mhm.
but sometimes they're limited to what they're allowed to do.
Right.
They do these are your job, move it, go through it. Don't spend too much time with any one person, all of that stuff. Um, yeah, these are all sort of telltale signs of a place.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Actually, Silas, I don't know if you have, or the questions for Dan as far as like, because basically everything that we've already talked about was some of the questions that we're going to ask. And I was
Yeah,
going to say, if everything is in the documentary, really.
yeah. I would say one question I would have it. Well, I had to do. I still have a few questions. Like, so I have two questions here. Um, really kind of just diving into the research. Like, what was one of the most compelling research findings did you find? With this, like in discovering the music. Like, what was the first? Was it like how did you find it? Was it something that you just noticed on your own, or was it something that you kind of just you did some research and you worked with other experts, and then they kind of found some similar findings, and then you guys came to the conclusion that, oh wow, like this music has a direct correlation with helping those with dementia.
So I had no background in dementia care. I had relatives maybe with, as they said back then, hardening of the arteries, and no, you can't go see them, right? But one day, I'm mostly I have a career in technology stuff, but one day I heard on the radio a journalist saying that iPods are ubiquitous; they're everywhere, and I thought, well, we know that's not true. A lot of young people, a number of adults, but if you're older, if you have dementia, if you're in some sort of residential care, you know, nobody's setting up an iPod for you with your music. And so that prompted me to call up a nearby nursing home and just say, look, I know you already have a lot of music. This had a big home, 500 bed, 14 recreation staff, and you've all these things going on with music and stuff. But can we see if there's any added value if we totally reconnect people with their own music?
Mhm.
And they said, sure, come in. And so that's where, we got this response. So that was the start. There was only one research study I could find where they did a really good study on individualized music impacting dementia. Only one. Now there's like many, 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 maybe hundreds around that. There's a lot going on. But the study that I like to quote is the one that was in California, where
Mhm.
they got funding to study um, um, 200 people in 200 nursing homes. I forgot how many people. Um, a large number of people in 200 nursing homes in California,
Mhm.
and it was run by the Department of the School of Nursing in University of California
Mhm.
in in UC Davis, and they found just reductions of depression, anxiety, days on each medication, reduced, on falls reduction,
Mhm.
just just an 8 or 9 different variables, and so that was just a wonderful larger kind of a study. Um, that I like to quote. But there is a lot of research. Most of the research, there's a ton of research, but is smaller sample size because they don't have the money for that. But some now are becoming larger, and and such. Um, So if that answers your question, I'm not sure, but
You know, it does. Yeah, actually answered two questions in one. Um,
That's
we
Dan.
aim for the no, whatever.
the one I have too, and this kind of dives deeper into what we were talking about earlier about how you said everyone having kind of like their own playlist, and even when you do have your own playlist, you do want to start expanding, like at least to 150 songs, because if you're just listening to those same 5 songs over and over all day, then it starts to lose its effect. And one thing I have a question on is, do you see a correlation with genre? So does genre matter? Have you noticed that, okay, this genre right here, it's a little bit slower, so people may not engage that much as overall in a general sense. And then when certain songs come out in the other genre, like let's say rock and roll or R&B music, more upbeat music, have you seen where, okay, yeah, this music right here tends to get people more involved, or just overall outside of their traditional playlist?
Great question, and one that is the most you know, you know um, important question around what kind of music. But no is the short answer. There seems to be no genre is better than another. I was with some friends and I said, "What music do you like?" And she said, "Oh, I like any music with a cello." I'm like,
Wow.
you know,
Wow.
I mean, not a group, not a genre,
Uh-huh.
just a very specific why, so everybody has their own thing, right?
Yeah,
And yes, there are a lot of people. I mean, when I set up 15 people in an adult day program, so these people went during lunch and such, and they went for a few hours in the day, went home, all with dementia, and from the same area, same kind of backgrounds and film. And so I found though that about 30% of the music was kind of similar that they liked.
Hmm.
That was it. Somebody had a parent from this country or another part of, older, younger generation is split there, or some like to sing and they sang at home. Everything is singing in the kitchen, singing in the shower. Others were quiet as can be. They had no clue. Some had played music, had a record player. Others didn't play anything. So you really had some got a two transistor radio to use, when they were kids, and they listened to, the 60s music or whatever, and others didn't. So it does vary.
yeah,
Even when you have people that look like, oh, everybody should like say, no, no. It's like a fingerprint. Everybody's playlist is different.
Yeah.
So it really upsets me when I see sometimes people say, "Oh, I got a country playlist for this resident, and I'm using that. Oh, I hear that guy, this other one likes country, so I'm just going to take this playlist and put it over there." Well, I wouldn't if I say I like pop from the '60s, and I do. I listen to '60s radio all the time. You couldn't match me up with anybody else's playlist. You
Right.
know, and,
Right.
and not for most of the songs. And yeah,
Wow, that was good. That was a good question, Cyrus, and a great answer, Dan.
that's a great answer. Yeah, and then my last question, my last question on my end is really talking about like the future. How do you see technology? And as technology starts to develop, do you see that, once people start to become more innovative and really see the value in how music is? Because, we use, like you were saying earlier, like we use music for everything. Like, if you're an athlete, you're always, using your playlist to get you in a certain mode before the game. We see music a lot of times. You go to a concert. I think one of the most powerful things about concerts, once again involving music, is how everyone can come in like in one accord, right? Because we all like the same artists and the same songs. Like I recently went to the Weekend concert, and he was out here about back in June. And one thing that surprised me, I was like, I looked around because it was a massive stadium, and I looked around and everyone was singing the song, and it was so interesting because when the beat dropped and the melody dropped, before he even said anything, 80,000 people were just singing the same song, like already quoting the words. And it's interesting how everyone could come together in just one accord based on that one song or that one genre of music. Really interesting. And
well,
yeah.
right.
Oh yeah, I was just finish up and say like, how do you see technology, like expanding this discovery?
So it's interesting. I heard somebody talking about research that showed that when people are listening at a concert just like that, that when they measure their, I think they said blood pressure. I mean, don't quote me on this, but just different bodily things we can became in sync
Yeah.
across
Yeah, that's
the whole
amazing.
audience. And so, in addition to knowing the songs and singing together, or that process, just brain waves, it just does bring things in sync. So, in terms of technology, like AI, I have no idea where AI is going to take this, right? So, a lot of people are working on a lot of things around AI and trying to make it easier, like facial recognition. If you can play music, or somebody's wearing music, and you try different songs, and the computer can determine are they happy, sad? Should you not play this song or not? And you've got, something on the headphones, and they're going to be putting in blood pressure monitors in your AirPods, probably coming out from Apple like next month or something. So, you'll be able to say, oh, their blood pressure's going up. Play calming music now. You know what I mean? And I mean, there's all sorts of stuff this way that's happening, but still it comes down to, and some people are making up sound music and sort of creating it, thinking that it works. But no, it's got to be the old style song. It's like in the 30s, 40s, if you talk God Bless America. So there are 200 versions of this song, more than that, a lot of songs by every kind of artist. But for the people from back then, it's
Yeah.
got to be Kate Smith. She was the one on TV.
Right.
That's the person.
Exactly.
That's the person that people recognize, right? So, you can't give another genre of sort of tainted song thinking it's cool, because that's not going to work.
Right.
And so it may work as just, current stuff, but for them, we got to really sort of narrow it down.
It
So
needs to
I
come
don't
from
know
their
the
era.
answer. Yeah, what?
I think it needs to come from their era.
Exactly. It's got to be the song as they recognize it. And then you can mix it up with YouTube and everything, and get the singer, showing. And the other point I want to definitely make, it's not just about playing the music. It's about getting people to dance, even if the wheelchair, in the wheelchair, getting people to move and dance, getting people to, if they played an instrument, well, pull it out. Maybe they have that physical memory to play it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's one in the same hospital with the 100 people with advanced dementia. One day they had an upright piano there. One day this Chinese woman just goes up to the piano and starts playing beautifully. Right?
Wow.
And now she plays every day at lunchtime, and she's got advanced dementia. Right. So that's a second. Dementia choirs around the country. Those are becoming big. Um, that people, and there's research around this. The acceptance with the group. Everybody's got the same memory problem here. You're there
Mhm.
with your partners or whoever. You have social interaction. You're singing. You're working towards a goal. You're doing a performance before the community at the end.
Right.
And so we love, and there are, over 100 of these, around the country. I know in San Francisco, there are 10 or 12 of them that were done by this Dr. Julene Johnson, did research around it, showed all the stuff, and they're running community choirs. And so that's just another, or getting together, if it's in church, hey, can we include people? Don't like say, oh, no, you can't come because you're not going to be as fast as everybody else.
Right.
Maybe they can have the music at home that they're going to prepare for on a device, and they can play it at home and practice it at home and catch up, or something. I did that with a glee club in a nursing home. They did a show every couple of months, and then they put on their iPods at the beginning of all of their songs. They put the 5 songs they're preparing to play, and they practiced once or twice a week, but they had it all the time with them so they could play all the time. And then they were able to do shows more frequently because they could learn faster.
Right. Wow. Wow. This is awesome. I love this conversation. It's amazing. I want people to definitely go watch your documentary, Alive Inside. You guys out there, you have got to watch this documentary. And it gives so much information. It's so powerful. And Dan, what would you say? What upcoming developments or projects are you most excited about in the field of music and healthcare? If anything new that we should know about, how do people get on board with this, with their loved one with dementia or Parkinson's, or just introducing and making sure their loved one has a earphone or a the little device that you can play music on, something that they can just see for themselves, right? The difference.
So I think starting with, I know on the Music and Memory site, that's musicandmemory.org, there's a
Hmm.
free downloadable how to make a playlist for your loved one document. Okay, so that's a good place to start because once we get that list, then no matter what kind of way we're accessing music, oh, there's a concert, and in the community, or I'm going to look for a concert where there's, a Broadway musical. Mom loves Broadway musicals, so I'm going to think, oh, it's in town, let's do it, and make that connection, and then finding where you learn what the list is, and then you figure out how to give them regular access, and have a plan, follow a plan, and that's really important, I think, and then advocate along the way. Sort of there's that music journey is, yes, you create that at home. Maybe there's a day program in the community that has music.
Hmm.
There's um, um, dementia choir in the community, whatever. And then if they go to assisted living or a nursing home or a hospital,
Hmm.
hospitals, you can bring a device to a hospital.
Yeah.
Everybody's got this fear. Oh, it's got wires. No, they know that music will help. And as long as it's not in the way, which it usually is not, then you have the music, and the music will make a big difference. You go to the emergency room. We didn't even talk about delirium and just what happens. People sort of decline really fast. My father, in 2 hours, whatever words he had were gone in 2 hours when he was in the emergency room. And so that's kind of common and under addressed by our healthcare system. And because they're just worried about the physical. Oh, we got to take care of this, take care of that. But they're not
Hmm.
tending to maintaining what people have.
Right. And
Cognitively.
people hear it too. I remember my sister-in-law, she was in the hospital and she was pretty unconscious. And I would go and visit her and I would put music and I would put it up to her ear from my
Yeah,
phone. And when she got better, she told me, she said, she couldn't respond, but she told me I heard the music she was playing in my ear. And she said it really helped me.
that's super.
And I was like, wow. Well, I was like, you really did you hear it? Because I didn't know if she heard me or not. And she told me that. And that just, I was like, wow. So, yeah, it works. It works. So, for those out there and you have loved ones or you have someone with dementia, Parkinson's, anything, it doesn't have to be any of that. You just feel like you just need to be able to bring some light to your loved one or to someone else, right? Give someone else, put a smile on someone else's face by offering them music. And then, Dan, one thing too, based on all this experience you have, what would you say to what kind of conversation? How do you start the conversation with your loved one who does maybe have dementia or have some memory loss? That how do you introduce that to have that conversation to get them to want to even kind of put it on? What do you think?
I would say, well, can I would you like to hear some music? I've got some headphones for you. Now, some people may not be like headphones. You
Mm-hmm.
can't use headphones. Or some people, what the CNAs or activities folks did, they would
Hmm.
slowly introduce it. Maybe just touch one side to the ear
Right.
with the music going, pull it
Uh-huh.
away.
Okay.
Oh, 3 seconds, 6 seconds the next day, and inside of a few weeks, it's like, give me my headphones. They
Right.
learn to associate the headphone with the music.
Exactly. Oh, that's good, Dan. That's good. Oh, I like that, Dan. That's good. All right. So, Dan, how can people find you, find your information? How can people get on board? If they just feel like someone says, you know what, how can I get on board with this?
I'd
What can
say
I do?
Alive Inside is number one, and everything
Okay.
else flows from there. Know that AARP on their website, they have a whole brain health section, and music's an important part of that. I can be found at write2music.com, and I have a LinkedIn. I'm not on social media, but LinkedIn, I write a blog, and so
Hmm.
people can communicate me through LinkedIn if they want. And that would be, how to reach me. And Alive Inside is, free. You can see it on YouTube for free. It's the 78-minute version on there. That's the official one.
Hmm.
And so anybody has Amazon TV or streaming, they can get it there. It's on Apple TV as well. And so that's how you can see it without spending anything extra.
Exactly right. It is amazing, you guys. It was, well, yeah, it was emotional, but it was good.
Yeah,
It was
that's
good. It
important.
was
It's
a smile.
intergenerational film, so bring
Yeah.
the family
Yeah,
together.
it's an emotional yet put a smile on your face,
Yes,
because when you
you'll
see,
laugh and you cry.
yeah, you laugh and you cry. Yeah, and that's what it's amazing. All right, Dan, we want to thank you again. Silas, did you have any last words for Dan?
Yeah, I would say, it's an amazing connection on how like something simple as music can make such a huge impact. It goes back to how people would say like it's always the small things that usually overlook, but it's the small stuff that can really make a huge impact in solving people's problems. But then also another thing too is interest. I'm always connecting like even the fact of like when people say, "Oh, like I woke up and I heard the song I was playing," like it's like audio within your mind. You have this audio system playing in your mind of the song word by word, and I think that also plays into why if a person plays that certain type of music, whatever music they liked or they listened to for a long period of time over their life, that music is the thing that's powerful enough to bring them, to bring them out of that, they can start talking again or speaking again or even remembering and moving again because it's ingrained into their subconscious. And so do you think that the subconscious plays a key role in why music is so powerful with some of these conditions, like the subconscious?
So I'm not a neurologist, so I'm no expert on that. But I will say that even the neurologists that studies this say that at its core, music is a question. You know, it's just it's kind of amazing. The more they peel away
Mhm.
the onion kind of thing, the more they're still amazed at what's at the center of it, and they really can't explain it. They can talk about it and how the brain lights up and everything.
Mhm.
So that's kind of like I don't know the answer personally. I'm just saying it works. Let's make it happen,
Yeah,
uh, and
true.
and then we can feel good about what we gave.
Yeah.
Right. Wow, I love that. We can
Hey,
feel good about what we gave. I like that, Dan. Wow. Any last comments, Dan?
No, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and I tell everybody just make it happen and go forward with confidence on this.
Oh my gosh,
There's
I love it.
no downside. In the worst case, it doesn't work because we don't have the right music or something. Best case is, wow, you just really changed how day-to-day life goes for the better.
Exactly, exactly. All right, you guys are listening to the medical equipment world and healthcare. Get the scoop. We have Mr. Dan Cohen, and he's amazing with music, right to music. You guys have got to go check him out. You've got to check out that documentary. And I tell you, it has just been a blessing to have you here today, Dan. This is sponsored by CFS Medical Supplies and Equipment, CFS Solutions. And we have enjoyed having you listen in today. And as always, keep standing, keep pushing, and enjoy your day. On the next episode, we'll see you then. Bye bye.